Good afternoon, Wrestling Inc. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, Nick Hausman, managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, joined here this Friday to have some fun, to talk all the pro wrestling news of the past 24 hours, to shut the week down. It's TK Trinidad. TK, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we got a lot to get to here, a real menagerie of pro wrestling news topics here today. We'll get to that in a bit. We're also going to dive into the mailbag at the end. We're going to talk about the much hyped Falls Count Anywhere match between Drew McIntyre and Madcap Moss at the Chamber. It just seemed like something dumb to close the week with. So why not? YOLO. So we'll do that. We'll talk the news. No interview today. We had some great content this week with Isaiah Swerve Scott, Matt Cardona, Ken Anderson. Go check out all of that right now on the previous podcast or over on the YouTube channel. But before we get to the news and everything, big congratulations to Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae. They gave birth to their baby boy, Quill, today. I also really like the name. I love the name Quill.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be good
Happy
parents.
for them.
Yeah, happy for them. The child, I'm sure, is already doing suplexes.
Out of the womb.
Yeah, totally. Time for news you can use. News will leave a bruise. We'll start with the big one. Tony Khan was on Busted Open today, and, he teased the big Forbidden Door, huge signing to change everything. That popped a rating last week. Sean Ireland here saying, I'd maybe tease something too if my viewership dipped to 800,000, which it did. Unsurprisingly, now Tony is saying on Busted Open, something massive is planned for AEW within the next week. He says it's probably not something you're going to think. It's not something you would typically think about. And also in this interview, he said he thought Cody was doing up to his next thing. Kind of an old story, weirdly, now 72 hours later. So he's wanting us to focus on the new thing. Let's not talk about Cody anymore, says Tony. Cody will be Cody. Something massive. What do you think can deliver on that at this point in AEW's history?
The only thing that I can think of, and I definitely don't think it's going to happen, is like you have like a big WWE talent like a la Triple H like show up. That's the only thing I could think of, or the powers that be for WWE, they say they see it's better to do this together and do I don't see it, but it's possible. They say it's better to do it together, and they have a forbidden door with WWE and AEW. I loved seeing Mickie James on WWE for Royal Rumble, even though she had the Impact title. Nobody ever thought that was gonna happen. The fact that she had the title on that's huge. So maybe WWE's, trying to have their enemies closer.
It would be a little odd with Cody Rhodes now being on Team WWE, it would seem. I don't really know where he would fall into the grand scheme of that. I think it's maybe a little soon, personally. I think I think MCAS, like MCAS was saying, AEW New Japan Super Show, maybe AEW finally making the leap over to the United Kingdom. That's something they've been wanting to do for a while.
Yeah.
Shane McMahon is still out there. They wouldn't need to work directly with WWE if Shane O'Mac maybe put up some of his own. Hey, you need some more money to sign talent? Here's 20%. Give me 15% off the back end. Let's put a deal.
Man, if that happens, what do you think? Like that's family though. Like what?
I don't know.
I want to be a fly on the wall with like when Vince, if that happens, like when Vince finds that out, what he would be saying.
You said Triple H, and I think Shane's more likely than Hunter because Steph is still very embedded in the corporate culture, as is Hunter. Shane's down in whatever it was, Portugal, talking to some rugby people. Like that's pretty loose, right?
Yeah. True.
I would see Shane maybe, but again, that's like a long shot. I mean, the other thing I thought, maybe they finally make the leap over to HBO Max. That's something a lot of people have been talking about for a while. It'd be nice to be able to get that next day replay available over there. Maybe start to build the archives. That's something that could maybe be in the works.
Yeah, I mean, I see why he did it, but it's kind of one of those things when people announce on social media like, oh, big things are coming, and then you just never you get so excited for them and then they just never talk about it. So I see what he did it, but it's like I rather just like show me, because then if you do the big thing, then everybody's going to be talking about it anyway because everything's so instant. And then those people are going to tune into the next show. So, you know,
I
sure.
remember it was Bischoff before he had gone radio silent over the TK stuff. Remember how it was like every day I was getting stuff about those two. Now they're just like back in their corners. But I remember him at one point in the whole, hurrah of what was going on, being like, I used to do this. I used to go all the time. We're going to do something big, and then like you deliver on it for a while. And then it's like one day you don't, right? And then like you can't, your fan base starts to disconnect. He kind of warned Tony Khan about pulling this card too many times. I think a lot of people were very happy to see Keith Lee. Did it live up to the hype of like a Bryan Danielson, CM Punk? I don't know, right?
Yeah. He didn't have it's like he didn't get to build to the Keith Lee that he was supposed to be at WWE. So even though he was like let go, it's like it's just kind of like almost, bringing somebody onto like the football team. He looks the aesthetic and everything like that, and then you see him play, it's like, it's not measuring up. So I really, like I said, like last week, I hope that they utilize Keith Lee like they're supposed to build him up to what he's supposed to be versus, just he looks good.
Yeah, and Rick Plott here saying Bray Wyatt to AEW. That'd be huge, but the phrase something massive seems to not like be a signing. It seems like I think the UK show somebody brought up earlier, that's not a bad bet. HBO Max is another kind of one of those gimmicks. I don't know. But like a business decision is more what this sounds like to me,
Yeah, but how is like the NXT UK really doing? Like, I mean, they have the show. I think they were live at one point. Then they were just doing the pre-tapes. I believe they're still doing the pre-tapes. Don't quote me on that one. But it's like, how is it? I was talking to somebody who's in that scene who covers wrestling in the UK, and it's definitely not like it is here. It's very sparse. So would they really get, other than maybe taking a show over there once in a while, would they really get bang for their buck by like establishing a UK show like WWE UK?
I think he's seen just doing a show, not a television show, like going over there and doing like a Wembley type show or something.
Yeah.
I think is maybe too big for them, but whatever. A couple big shows over in the AEW, like a tour of the UK, hitting 3 cities over 3 weeks, maybe doing some little shows on the weekend, that kind of deal. That would be really cool. That's possible. Totally possible.
Yeah, but I don't think that doesn't even seem like big, because like, I mean, I guess because I've been here for 10 years, so I can count myself as an American. If they say that, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's cool. But that's not big news to me. Right. so I think hopefully it's not going to be a letdown. But we'll see. We're talking about it.
All right. Well, speaking of Keith Lee, some questions about why he wasn't on TV this past week for AEW. The Observer saying it's because he was on his honeymoon with Mia Yim. So there we go. Keith Lee, I guess, will be back in the cards here very soon. Happy to hear you just fall off, right? That never happened.
Yeah, the timing was off though. I mean, if they knew they were getting married, so it's done. We'll see.
The Undertaker officially going into the WWE Hall of Fame in Dallas. Congratulations to the dead man. I'm happy. I mean, like, I don't know. I really have a huge take on it. I'm just happy he's getting to do this in Dallas and Texas, where I know it means a lot to him. It'll be a great moment.
Yeah, so much history. I mean, he's been part of our lives in so many different versions. Well deserved. I definitely think it's just not going to be one of those things where it's like he goes and he accepts. I think there's just going to be so much more hoopla around it, which I'm looking forward to. A lot of production.
And this to me says maybe probably not going to get that one more Undertaker and or Mark Calloway match. I could be wrong, but it feels like this is setting up. Not that. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting swerved here on that. This doesn't feel like we're going to get I don't know. Do you feel differently? You think this sets up a Taker? You think this sounds like opening the door for a Taker match?
I think that Taker, even though, was it the 24, whatever documentary he was last in, I feel like he has 2 to 3 more goes.
You think Booker said one? Booker said at least one. Right.
Yeah, I don't think this is it. Like I don't think it's gonna be this because it's about Hall of Fame. But I think we're gonna see because he's keeping in shape, and yes, age and stuff like that, but that doesn't, even though you might not be able to do all the crazy things, that's not going to necessarily kill a great storyline, especially with Undertaker.
No,
So yeah.
I've been over here saying, look, Steve Austin's coming back. Him and Undertaker just want to brawl around like Triple H Undertaker in Saudi Arabia style and call it. I mean, there is no bigger Texas match you could do in Texas in front of 100,000 people.
Yes.
Than Steve Austin versus the Undertaker, right?
Yeah, that's true. But then we would need to see something. Or do you like? I don't think they just drop it without any notice. We would need to see something kind of build up to that, to WrestleMania.
Yeah, you would
So
think.
now that they announced it, then maybe we might see something in the next week or so.
I mean, Monday's going to be interesting. The Chamber will be behind us. We're just solidly on the road to Mania. If we're gonna get the Steve Austin match, which I think is still kind of a big if, because it's like it's still a crazy thought. The tease would probably be on this Monday, right?
Yeah.
If we're gonna get a Taker match, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think he usually goes over to Saudi. Maybe he could do something there to set something up. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and the fact that it's in Texas, like that makes sense to have Steve Austin do something.
Oh, sure.
But anything is possible.
Booker T released some good news for fans of Roxy on his Hall of Fame podcast, confirming she signed with WWE, which
well deserved.
Very rare that these get announced by not by WWE. I just know Booker's really proud of her. Roxy, I don't know how much you know about Roxy, but she's great. I've really enjoyed watching her the past couple of years.
Yeah, we've interviewed her a few times, and it's just, I think once the belt was off of her, well, I mean, ROH is coming back, but once the belt was off of her, and I think there was a sighting of her at the Performance Center, I kind of knew she fits the mold of what they're looking for. She definitely has done the indie scene, but because she's under Booker T, like, I feel like WWE is comfortable with that. It's like she hasn't been brainwashed by the indie world. Like Booker T kind of taught her the WWE way of things. So they were comfortable with her. And she has the look, she has the aesthetic, and, with some fine tuning, I think she definitely has possibilities. So yeah, it's definitely well deserved.
I'm super interested. Yeah, that broke like shortly before we went on the air. Ring of Honor, I don't know if you were referring to this or saw this, but like after Supercard, they're coming back with live TV they're coming back with live shows and TV tapings, they announced.
Yeah, they announced that they're coming back like in the spring. And I didn't necessarily know about the live TV tapings, but I figured that they were prepared. Like, they just took a minor break to reset things. And just given how everything else is going, I mean, I liked where they were headed before they took their break.
It'll be interesting because a minor break maybe is a way to phrase. I mean, they released their entire roster, and in March their entire roster will officially be no longer under contract, and then it'll be rebuilt. And I think it's going to be rebuilt on like more of a super indie kind of level, as opposed to legitimate national product, which is maybe where they're going to be more comfortable right now. But it's just good news. I was very, very heartened to see that they were coming back with live shows or live events and TV tapings. I thought they had a pretty good thing going before everything kind of went and hit the wall with the COVID stuff.
Yeah, they did. And, it's just, kudos to them, because I didn't think they were going to come back. Because, there've been a few companies that I've been part of where they said it was because of COVID, and they said, oh, we'll be right back, we're taking a break. And
well, I like Launchpad 42 here, basically echoing me, saying ROH is going to do the GCW PWG model, no contracts, just going to bring people in for shows. And if you ask the people that work at GCW and PWG, they're like some of the happiest rosters on the face of the planet. They're getting paid well to do these big indie shows. They can work anywhere they want, and many of them have become like entrepreneurs that run like businesses revolving their identity and do very well.
Yep. I mean, that's if you're just familiar with social media, and then if you get into NFTs and metaverses, I mean, the world is their oyster for wrestlers who, actually take the time and don't necessarily aim for the WWE model of things. There's a lot of money out there to be made.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll mix up the run sheet here a little bit since we're just talking random WWE stuff. Captain Ivan brought it up here. WWE has just announced they're bringing back Saturday night's main event. And he said they're going to show it on Peacock. That's wrong, Ivan. Now, based on what we're seeing here, they're just using the Saturday night's main event, live event, for the name of Raw live events that are going to be in April in Alabama, Montgomery, and then Lakeland, Florida. So these are just names they're putting on live events. We don't know that they're going to be filmed for Peacock or TV. It's just kind of like a house show. They've done this a couple times, right? They've done a couple. They brought out a couple WCW names, didn't they? Like kind of just before the pandemic went down to do some events in like markets.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's depending on the areas that they bring somebody that's like known for that area, then it makes sense. You want more people. A lot of people like the house shows versus the TV tapings. It's two different beasts. I find with the house shows, sometimes you get the wrestlers just trying new things, and you might see some amazing things happen that you won't see on TV because they're very much more controlled than that. So I think that might be, especially since we're kind of sort of out of the pandemic or wherever we are right now, it might bring more people into the seats. Because I know for me, there's certain places that I'm not going to. That I wasn't really going to before the pandemic, but now I'm not going at all. Like I'm not
bowling
going
alleys,
to movie theaters.
Bowling alleys, right? Like, do I want to shove my fingers in the holes of other people? Like,
yeah, and then
I'm pretty ready to take the mask off here at the end of the month when they give me the green light. I'm doing it until then, but I don't know how I feel about the finger holes in the bowling.
And then the shoes. What about the shoes? The rental shoes.
Yeah. And I apologize to Big Bowling out there. Y'all are great people. Huge Big Lebowski fan. A lot of great bowling alley memories. I will get there again. Support your local bowling alley. It's just it's a tough one. I'm sure these people know. So,
yes. The last comment though.
Did I say the phrase, do I want to shove my fingers in the holes of other people? I didn't say that. I don't think that's exactly how I phrased it. Although I guess the conversation did get a little risque. So I apologize if it did get out of hand there. All right. So I'll start. These are both kind of like, this one's a bummer. The next is kind of a bummer. And then we'll go to the mailbag, I guess, talk Madcap Moss. So Devon Dudley, he hosts his latest Table Talk podcast. And he has confirmed that due to back surgery that he just had, he's no longer going to be able to wrestle. He's very happy with his life outside of wrestling at the moment. And I just like Devon a lot. So just melancholy kind of, I'm happy for him that he's happy and has other work to do. But it's kind of a bummer to know that we will never get to see him, wrestle again. I always like Devon.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's so much technology out there and yes, to the day-to-day or doing a spot, but we've seen a lot of people who said that they're never going to wrestle again and they're wrestling. So it just, again, at this moment, but just the ways technology is and the medical field and what he may have access to as far as doctors and stuff like that, you never know. However, he's had a full career. It didn't end in the height of it. So that's a really good thing because, we've seen a lot of people where they're at the height of their career or almost about to go over and, Jason Jordan, it's just kind of so at least he's had a really great career and he's doing a lot of great things. So, kudos to him.
Yeah, got that Hall of Fame ring, and he seems happy in his position at WWE, working as an agent. I know a lot of people really like working with Devon at WWE. I've had many people say very nice things about working with Devon, and when the Dudleys had a school together, I knew some of the students that were down there, and they all really like learning from Devon a lot more. I'll put it that way. I think he's a kinder soul than Bully when it comes to mentorship. So I'm very happy to hear that. He's very happy and being a positive influence in the back. I'll put it.
Yeah.
And Sophia here from Twitch echoing you. I hope he can get recovered. I mean, Edge was done and returned, so I guess anything's possible. Like you say, technology these days. How does it work, right?
Mm-hmm. And then sometimes too, you just give your body a rest, being hit by stuff and bumping into people and jump the wear and tear, and then letting your body breathe to regenerate itself by itself, provided he eats properly, all that stuff. You just never know, because I've been there's injuries that I have where now there's moments where it's just oh dang, forgot because I'm doing all this active stuff and I forgot that injury even existed because I gave myself that break. So, maybe he just kind of like really slows down and does other things, and you just never know.
I'm interested to see Steve. I mean, 19 years since Steve Austin has had a wrestling match. If he comes back, like, there's a lot of people that were like, man, Punk was gone for 8 years. Your body changes so much in that time. 19, that's pretty dramatic, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. He did it for so long. I kind of feel like wrestling is that in a lot of sports is just like almost riding a bike. Like, again, he's not going to be at the top of his game, but I guarantee if me and him were in the ring, and he's teaching me some stuff, like it's gonna just happen automatically for him. So, just kind of knocking back that ring rust. And we don't know what he's doing in his big ranch in Texas. He could been training for the last year. We really don't know.
Oh, yeah, we don't. I'm fascinated. Because last year at this time, I did an interview with Steve Austin for the Tide Too Cold campaign. We talked about Tide laundry pucks for a bit.
Okay.
And then I got to ask him about wrestling, and I was like, "Oh, you going to be at Mania?" And he's like, "Well, no, I don't think about this year, but next year I think we might be doing something." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, so early quotes there from Steve."
Yeah. He's very surreal because I was on X-Pac show and he came in and he was sitting beside me and he was like nudging me, asking me questions, and I'm like, I am sitting next to, insert explicit language. Like it was very surreal, like super cool, like just amazing individual.
Yeah, I really enjoy Steve. He's always been nice to me. All right, lastly here, the Observer saying WWE and Blumhouse Media are working on a Teddy Hart documentary. It's going to be produced for Peacock. We don't have any other details. It was noted how people interviewed for the Hart doc noted that producers were digging deep into Hart's past. A lot of questions about his bad ex relationships. Now this is the same company, by the way, WWE and Blumhouse. This is the same two people working together on the Vince McMahon docuseries right now. This is the other. These two entities are working on two projects together. One about Vince McMahon, the other about Teddy Hart. I don't know what that says. It's just a weird thing, and I have no idea why WWE is making this. I don't. What do you think? What do you think's going on here? Do you have any take on this one?
The not the only possibility, but it's just kind of like when oh my gosh, I just had the name of it. When they had the island with Ja Rule, remember that? And they had the two documentaries that came out, Fire Island.
Oh, the Fire Fest one. Yeah. Okay.
Fire Festival, and two documentaries came out. But from what I heard, one documentary started first and then the other one kind of wanted to get ahead of it. So maybe there is another kind of indie documentary that's happening that WWE wants to get ahead of it. That's like, because it just seems, I don't know. For me, when WWE does certain things, I feel like there's something in the background that they're doing their story, so we'll believe that.
Yeah, and Launchpad 42 saying they want to beat Dark Side of the Ring to the punch, which makes a lot of sense. I know when I was deeply into the China coverage about a year and a half ago for the long major China documentary, and I remember asking the Dark Side team if they were working on China, and they're like, dude, there are too many people working on China docs. We are not doing a China documentary. And they didn't. I don't think, at least. No, I know they didn't do it. So I think there's something to that. I think you're right. I think maybe somebody else is working on this. Maybe WWE wants to make sure for whatever reason that they are portrayed. I don't think that they're a huge issue in this story personally, but I could be
wrong.
We
know of. Yeah.
Teddy's issues are just like, I mean, you could go do your own Google search. I don't want to say something to get it wrong. Sex, drugs.
There's a lot, yeah.
A lot going on with Teddy Hart, right? So I'm interested. And we have a super chat here. Teddy Hart from Rayanne. Teddy Hart had issues at one point with his uncle Brett, Pepsi Man Punk, Samoa Joseph, and Jimmy Cornette. Yeah, Teddy has heat with everybody. He's a bad. I don't know. Like, what is a bad person? But he's done some bad things. Okay, and
but Teddy, also to that era, like there are things that, and of course, this is all alleged, so don't quote me on anything, but there are things that were happening in those eras where he was wrestling that, people were covering up stuff. So there might be stuff that we don't know. Like, we do know that happened, but we didn't know that WWE, there was involvement as WWE as far as helping to, smooth certain things over or not. So yeah, the very Tiger King. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, I think this is going to be WWE's Tiger King. They're like, you guys like Joe Exotic, then you're going to love Eddie Hart. All right. Well, hey, TK, thank you for joining me to talk all the news at the top of the day or at the top of the show. What a mixed bag it was to end the week here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Really enjoyed the chats, the super chats. We're going to a little bit more to go here. We're going to dive into the mailbag. So if you want to keep the conversation flowing, please feel free to. At Wink Daily, who wins Elimination Chambers Falls Count Anywhere match? Drew McIntyre or Madcap Moss? We have exactly 100 votes. 82% Drew McIntyre, 18% Madcap Moss. Am I a crazy person for giving Madcap Moss better odds than this against Drew McIntyre?
A little bit.
You think so? Because it's a Falls Count Anywhere match. So there could be all these shenanigans. Baron Corbin can come out, right? They could do anything. And then throw Drew McIntyre. And that's heat going into Mania, right? Then you get Drew McIntyre with the big win after getting screwed over in the desert,
I guess, yeah, I can kind of see that. I guess I just don't like the way that they're doing Drew McIntyre now. So I just feel like just for him to maintain that win. But I could see, especially this leading up to WrestleMania, at least him having something, because now it really does make sense now that you say it. Like, if Drew McIntyre loses, then he has a storyline going towards WrestleMania. Whereas if he wins, then it's just like, okay, now what?
Exactly.
So I can.
I want to see you pissed off. Like, you got punched in the face, kicked in the lower region, and we stole your sword. They like beat him, and then they run off into the desert with a sword.
Yep, I can now see that. So I might have to jump onto your camp.
All right. Well, that's really the only reason I wanted to have this question today, so I could have this conversation because it's been a little overlooked, but you look for those kind of sleepers, especially this season right now. I don't hate Corbin and Moss. It's still a little 2D. I'm waiting for it to kind of flex a little bit and become something a little bit different. But I feel like, that Drew's kind of the same way. He's a little 2D right now. So I'm hoping these two things can kind of, I think everybody involved is very good workers and wrestlers. Hoping they can push each other to find something in each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, something that we can sink our teeth into. So yeah, especially going into WrestleMania, because nobody wants to be a part of that match where, okay, well, it's time to get the food and, nobody really cares.
Hey, Paul Heyman was on the record in an interview not long ago saying Madcap Moss is a future main eventer. And like, I read all these quotes from people. They're like, don't sleep on Moss, man. That guy runs drills like nobody else. Like, he's a stallion, right? So I don't know.
We'll see.
So anyway, we're going to wrap it up there for the week, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll be back on Monday. I'm going to be joined by Michael Weissman. If you like this show, we got a whole bunch of new people that came to the party this week, and I know the Cody News had a big part of that. I'm happy to see so many of y'all sticking around. We do this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern, right here on the Wrestling Inc. social channels, YouTube, Twitch, all that. And, of course, you can find the full shows, full audio with the interviews over on our podcast feed. So go show that some love. Support WrestlingInc.com. Also on all the socials. Come back here tonight after SmackDown for the Wrestling Inc. podcast. It's a lot like this show. It's just going to be different people, different conversations. All right, TK, anything you want to put over here before we wrap up for the week?
Just, we're still selling. We're in February, still celebrating Black History Month. So we have a lot of great interviews that are being posted, a lot of great panel shows. So definitely check that out. Go to www.talkpod.com or go to our social media, www.talkpod. And you follow me on everything at TK Trinidad.
All right. And I am at Nick_Hausman over on Twitter. Thank you, everybody, for a phenomenal week. It's been great. I'll talk to you on Monday. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.